Welcome, Beargrass, to our town hall meeting. We'd like to welcome you in person and online. Today we're going to talk about our congregational leadership, our stewardship results, and our operating budget. First of all, let me read our 2024 Deacon Council nominees. People who will be in their first year include Adam Lyle, Angela Scott, Audrey Rowling, Barb Hoover, Barbara Clark, Becky Mosley, Bill Hoover III, that's the drummer Bill, Bobby Chick, Brian Carson, Kara Fain, Carol Wiggins, Carrie Watson, Catherine Anderson, Dave Perkins, Dawn Watts, Debbie Hauser, Donna Farmer, Gary Melson, Gina Lyle, James Wright, Jan Conry, Jeremy Engermeyer, Joel Mize, John Barron, Judy Mize, Julie Kotak, Karen Smith, Kathy Burke, Laura Engermeyer, Lee Scott, Les Lyle, Mary Beth Carson, Mary Bone, Megan Wright, Marilyn Flowers, Nita James, Pam Olmstead, Pat Teeter, Patty Barron, Perry Chick, Phil Anderson, Rachel Spurlock, Ray Clark, Stephen Furlow, and Vic Stess. Said that right.
Good job.
Thank you. Year 2 deacons, their term concludes at the end of 2025, include Brian Bennett, Darcy Simpson, Darlene Stetson, Donnie Grissom, Elaine Ferris, Jan Schrader, Jeff Spurlock, Jerry Potter, John Slaughter, Kirsten Montgomery, Lee Turner, Lori Brillhart, Marianne Lamb, Melissa Durham, Mike Skelton, Nikki Potter, Sylvia Quay, Terry Ann Tremaine, Tom Brillhart, and Wendy Skelton. Year 3 deacons, whose term includes... Sorry about that. Year 3 deacons, their term concludes at the end of 2024. Those include Brett Conliffe, Cindy Moore, Grant Conliffe, Joanne Ford, Laurie Carrico, Nancy Claypool, Natalie Bridwell, Patrick Carrico, Patrick Nankiville, Rose Smith, and Tony Newberry. This year we will have continue to have a deacon chair for our deacon council. And you will see up here that all deacons represented by the deacon chair will be on the executive board. The elder chair will also be on the executive board, and those elders are, this is term year 1, their term concludes at year 2026. That's Amy Barker, Charlie Grass, Chelsea Bennett, Chris Rakestraw, Dana Cantrell, David Sewell, David Blunt, Denise Hatfield, Don Ritter, Janet Thompson, John Tremaine, Lola Cox, Millicent Evans, Penny Peevler, Rex Cox, Sarah Gold, and Verl Heinzelman. Year 2 elders, their term concludes in 2025, and those include Alice Beckham, Donna Knight, Eric Ferris, Frank Ferris Jr., Leslie Key, Mike Blackwell, Scott Wilhoit, Stacy DeCoste, and Tim Jolly. Year 3 elders, their term concludes at the end of 2024. Those include Adrian Sams, Beth Devine, Damon Holland, Doug Knight, Jim Jackson, Jim Sams, Joseph Quay, Kathy Wise, and Linda Sewell. So again, you'll see the elders and the deacons will have a chairperson on the deacon council and on the elder council who will be involved on the executive board. So you'll see here the executive board will be made up of the executive board chair, the mission board chair, the treasurer, the deacon chair, the elder chair, and our at-large members. including a secretary who is appointed but is non-voting, and then our senior minister who represents all the ministers on the executive board. The executive committees who report to the executive board will include a finance committee, personnel, nominating, property, and any other committees that might fit into that category. And we also have our new 2024 executive board nominees, and these are the ones we will be voting on December 3rd. John Richardson has been nominated and approved by the Transitional Ministry Leadership Team for our Executive Board Chair. Lee Turner for our Mission Board Chair. Our Elder Chair, it will be Bruce Lott with your nomination and vote. We will also have Nita James as our Deacon Chair. And our at-large members include Lee Gillies, Justin Key, Maureen Johnson, and Doug Knight.
Justin Key's treasurer?
Justin Key is the treasurer. I apologize. Did I miss an at-large person?
No, you're good.
Okay. Isn't that a good-looking group? And our vision statement, Worship, Grow, and Serve, you've all had access to that, and it is a robust and wonderful statement of what we see for Beargrass in the future. And it's just exciting to learn about all the possibilities that are going to come along in 2024, our rich history in the past, and then moving forward. So I'd like to turn this over to Leslie Gohagan, our current treasurer, so that she can talk about our budget and our stewardship. Thank you, Leslie.
Okay. Just want to go back for a second to the vision statement, just to really emphasize that this vision statement was used throughout both the stewardship and the budget process, because what the focus was for everyone who was involved in that is that they needed to make sure that that the vision statement and what is contained in there is what we need to do to bring Beargrass alive in 2024. And so they determined what resources were necessary in each of the ministry center areas, and that's how they created their budget. And on stewardship, everyone in the congregation could understand what next year was going to bring and why it was important for them to make their commitments. So this is just a graphic. Don't expect you to really read it, but just to see that a lot was involved since we got back in July through the end of November for the stewardship and budget process. So there are many steps, many people involved. So everyone really took this seriously. So as I was saying, this is a mission-based budget process. And so the focus was on bringing the Beargrass vision to life, and specifically how we are called to live out our mission. And the idea of the vision statement is it's a unified roadmap for everyone involved, whether the leaders of the church, the ministers of the church, everyone that's involved in the ministries, but yet there's flexibility in how these different parts of the vision are implemented. So actually, for part of the vision, each area, each ministry center created a budget narrative. And what that was is then they created their own vision statement for that particular ministry center. Then they created 3 or more goals. And what we asked people to do was to actually tie those goals back to particular phrases or pieces of the vision statement. And they did that. And then then the numbers came. You have to figure out what you're going to do first, and then figure out what resources you need. And they created a budget worksheet. So it was really interesting to see how balanced it was with these goals and how they went tied back to worship, grow, and serve, all the different areas that have been identified in the vision statement. So there were 8 goals that tied back to worship with hope, 7 tied back to grow with love, and 6 with serve with a passion for justice. So this should look pretty familiar to you. This was part of the materials that went out for the stewardship invitation, but also just to give you an idea of some of the goals under each of the worship, grow, and serve. Creating a raw base of congregants and visitors through creative and meaningful worship, enhancing visual and performing art experiences, growing our congregational membership, creating intergenerational events for our members and visitors, expanding our ever-growing hands-on service projects, and growing and developing our anti-racist pro-reconciliation team, and on and on. Those are just a few. So based on seeing what those goals were during the stewardship process and having the vision statement, the congregation really responded during the last couple of months to stewardship. So this is just kind of a by-the-numbers summary. To date, we have 268 commitments that represent 474 people in the congregation. And that's for a total of $963,000 and change. Of those 268, 91 increased their pledge for an average of over 20%, which is really phenomenal. We had 32 first-time pledges, which is really strong. Right now, there are 20 outstanding pledges that we don't have for 24, that are from people who pledged in 23. So we hope that those will come in. And so if all the outstanding pledges come in, we expect that the total amount could go up to as high as $1.15 million. So with that great report from the stewardship results, just a huge thank you. Thank you, Beargrass. Thank you to each member of the congregation. That's really terrific. And Keith Wilson, thanks for all of your leadership of this. So then to the budget. So this is just an overview of the total income that we've come up with on the budget is almost $1.6 million. And of that, for the expenses, that's made up of personnel investment, property investment, and programming resources. So I'm happy to say we do have a balanced budget, which was very important. Worked hard on that. So this gives you a little bit of an idea of the source of the income. So as you would expect, the majority is coming from the 2024 pledge commitments. It's a little more than 63%. We put in some dollars, about 7%, for non-pledge contributors. There are some people in the congregation who give consistently, but because of whatever situation, have decided not to make a pledge. We have visitors who make contributions. So this has been an important part of our budget for many years. And there are other types of congregational gifts, such as loose offerings, Sunday school, and people who actually, if they give online, some people pay for that small charge that comes through for the bank or credit card. 5% of our income comes from the endowment distribution, so that is so important, Beargrass Forever, and those dollars that we get from the endowment, it continues to grow each year. And then there are some other gifts that really aren't budgeted. We have a few dollars in designated gifts that we can budget, but for the most part, designated gifts, memorials, and special offerings are where we know dollars will come in next year, but it just depends on the situation, and it's really hard to budget those. About 14.5% comes from property income, 5% from program income, and about a little over 1.5% from income from reserves, where we bring that over. We have been holding money in reserve for a rainy day, so to speak, or whatever expenses we might anticipate will be coming. And then a very, very small percentage is for other income. So the first big piece of the pie is personnel. And so this gives you an idea of how it breaks down by ministry center. So about 33.5% for worship, 16.5% for spiritual formation, a little over 7.5% for youth and young adults, about 11% for children and families, and that does include Parents Day Out. Mission and outreach is about 5%. Administration is 11%, and property is 15%. So this just gives you another way of summarizing that pie chart. So the total of almost $926,000.
And that 5% of mission and outreach, that's of personnel dollars, not the budget.
Right. Just to emphasize, I thought about this as I was saying it. We'll address it, emphasize it a little bit more later. But that 5% is just the percentage of the personnel budget that is dedicated to mission and outreach. That doesn't represent what mission and outreach is to the whole budget. Then on property, worship's about 31%, spiritual formation, a little less than 28%, youth and young adults about 7.5%, children and families 8%, mission and outreach about 21%, and administration about 4.2%. One thing I really should emphasize here is the way this is broken down. It's how our property investment is broken down is it's based on square footage of how we use, about 70,000 square feet. And then the personnel that we just went over, that is broken down based on how each of our individuals who are our ministers and our staff members, how their time is utilized across these ministry centers. And that's updated each year. And if there was something drastic that happened during the middle of the year, when I say drastic, if there was a big change in how somebody's time is utilized in the middle of the year, we'd make an adjustment. But otherwise, we set it once, and it's the same all throughout the year. But we do revisit it with each budget process. Okay, so this is the breakdown of the expenses by ministry center. About $200,000 for administration, a little over $450,000 for worship ministry center, spiritual formation about $315,000, $139,000 for youth and young adults, $197,000 for children and families, and $271,000 for mission and outreach. So we'll dig down just a little bit deeper. As I told you, each of the ministry centers put together a narrative on how that, what they were going to do, what their vision was for that ministry center. So in administration, ministry center, of course, the personnel and property investment, but then also in financial services, which is accounting and bank charges. Then in the office, there's postage, office supplies, printing, etc., technology, and then a small amount in other. Worship center narrative. In worship ministry, again, all of them have the personnel investment and property investment. We have the adult handbell choirs, sound and AV, the adult choirs for worship, and all of the different worship service expenses, whether it's supplies for to make the worship experience more meaningful, whether it's in the sanctuary of the chapel, or supplies for communion and baptism, flowers, and special events. Spiritual formation. There's several key areas there, in addition to personnel and property investment: the faith development, membership, congregational care, and the library. So under faith development, Sunday school, resource room, adult ministries, adult retreats, devotional days, whether that's for Advent or at Easter, or maybe other times during the year. A new line item we have this year is Leadership Beargrass. Will be a special program being rolled out to make sure we have a nice pipeline of new leaders always coming on. So we'll have the same old faces, but have fresh new faces and fresh new ideas. Membership, everything from our online presence through evangelism and visitor engagement and congregational care, variety of things, and with a special emphasis on pastoral care and hospitality. Youth and college and young adults. This covers all of that programming. And for this year, we broke out college because I thought it was important, the separation between the college programming and young adult programming. Look at children and families. A lot of, besides the personnel and property, there are the children's programming, Sunday school, special trips, doing some updating to the children's space, handbell and choir music. Of course, the Parents' Day Out. But a new one that has been added for this year is family ministry. So that will be kind of a new area that will be evolving. And then mission and outreach. So we talked about the way the mission and outreach budget is calculated is we take 10% of what the congregational gifts are, and then we add on to that the dollars that are that come in from the endowment distribution. And there are several different line items from the endowment that people who've given gifts in the past have designated, and it falls into these different areas, whether it's for scholarships, just outreach in general, new projects, Beyond the Walls that funds new projects, or some mission trips. So this is a very special area. The other new thing for Mission and Outreach Ministry Center this year in 2024 is that it will be grant-based. And so we've kind of had a lot of different groups that we've automatically given so much money to each year, and thought it was important to kind of step back and really understand how that money is being used by those organizations. And so determine if there might be some other organizations the church also needs to support. So that grant process will be rolled out in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for that. So that is, in a nutshell, the budget. And I'll be happy to answer any questions. You're all welcome to email me or give me a call. So thanks a lot. Any questions?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, Leslie. And just wanted to, while we've got the people watching online, to remind everybody this coming Sunday, we'll have the congregational meeting following both of our morning services at 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock. So right after the worship service, stick around in the sanctuary for a few extra minutes. We'll do a more abbreviated version of this presentation, and then have the congregational vote following both worship services. And then Sunday evening, we'll have our all-church Christmas concert at 4 o'clock in the sanctuary, and look forward to our children and youth leading us in that concert. It should be a lot of fun, so really encourage everybody to come on out. And right after the concert will be our first annual, maybe annual, we'll see how it goes, Christmas cookie bake-off. So if you can make cookies, I would encourage you to sign up through the e-news and to bring those on Sunday and help us celebrate the children and youth at the all-church concert. But also just want to say a huge, huge thank you to everybody who helped make all of these processes happen after a big year here at Beargrass. It's really amazing to see how everything's come together. So Leslie's been amazing as our treasurer over these last couple of years and helped implement so much. And as this is Deb Rakestraw's last congregational meeting coming up. Her last one as board chair. She'll still be at the other ones. But she's done such a phenomenal job of leading us through transitions and changes and new opportunities, and laying a fantastic foundation for the next group of leaders coming in. So thank you for everyone who has supported this process, who's signed up through the ministry fair and stewardship, and all the ways to make Beargrass a better place to worship, grow, and serve. Bless you all.